take notes. It's not going to be your normal psych video. This is going to be a little bit deeper, at least in kind of terms of the real problems that I have seen either in myself or in people I've taught before or just generally. I'm going to turn this off. It's pissing me off now. So we'll look at that. If you want to take notes, you can. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much. I had a psych stream video beforehand. I was talking about creating injecting logic. So that'll be kind of the first part to this video if you've not seen it already. I encourage you to go and watch it. But I'm not going to talk about journaling or anything in here very briefly. More of like the real issues, you know. Obviously, you know what to do, right? Everyone knows, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to make your rules, you got to trade with risk, you got to do all this stuff. But why do we actually not do it, right? What delays us, and what actually can you do to actively fix it instead of watching psychology videos and watching brainless sort of motivational videos or other people telling you how to trade or the thing that you're missing? What do you actually do in terms of introspection to figure out the problems, right? So with trading especially, right, there's a lot of self-sabotage and procrastination. And I asked, we'll kind of start off with this picture here, but I asked, let me see if I can get it. So let me. I asked ChatGPT, and you're just going to look at this little answer here. Obviously, this is not the bulk of the meat of this lecture, but just for fun, kind of what does ChatGPT say about, you know, I kind of asked it, why do we not do the things that we're supposed to be doing, you know, and why is it hard to kind of detach ourselves from our old personality? So your old self, you know, you have comfort in that. You have this fear of losing. You have ego tied to it. You have this internal conflict a lot of times. So if you want to save this, I'll put it in this chat as well if you want to use it and download this. But we'll talk about each of these things. But basically, obviously, you should be journaling. You should be doing all these things to really get good at trading. But I'm gonna tell you at least the way that I think. This will be applicable to you, hopefully. And if you want to tweak it, you can. If you think that what I'm saying is just whoop-de-woo and you don't want to listen to it, also perfectly fine. You're free to think how you want to, but this is just kind of, at least for me, I would rather, let me charge my headset. I would rather become the person that thinks a certain way and is programmed into my brain rather than actively trying to fight my emotions day in and day out, right? You're never going to be emotionless. You're never going to tame those kind of things. You just tame your response to them. You use emotions as a reaction, right? Or as a response towards some sort of threat in your vicinity. And then obviously we have a reaction off of it. So we first actually have to think, you know, obviously, if you're in a state where you're learning technically and you're still learning that kind of stuff, your psychological mistakes are going to be mostly based on the fact that you don't know enough. And that's just really blatantly what it is. If you don't know PD rates, if you don't know your model well enough, if you don't know the market conditions and things like that, a lot of the fear and greed that you fear is directly from the lack of knowledge, which in the beginning is it should be reassuring to you, because a lot of those mistakes, you just learn something new, or you learn something new about yourself, and then it disappears, right? You don't even have to worry about it. Now I'm talking about late game stage, right? Like when you're at the level 99 out of 100 and there's one little block that feels like it's eluding you. You don't know what it is. You've tried everything and you're like, I wake up, I constantly have to fight myself. I have to fight my flesh, and I hate doing that. So I want to teach you at least how to think, how to go about your day, so you have at least a better lifestyle. You have an overall better lifestyle, how to think where you can make it day to day and just be happy with what you have and never be striving for what you don't have, and just be content, right? And that to me produces the best sort of trading results. So I want to get you there. So obviously there's this difference between needing and being at peace. So whenever we're needing something, it always kind of eludes us, right? You always have this feeling that it just kind of runs away from you. Whenever you need something and you're forcing a will or objective onto the marketplace, it always leaves from you, right? So instead, I want to become the trader, right? I want to become someone who attracts. I want to become someone who, if you lose all of your money, right? If the trader loses all of his money, he still has the skill to go back in the very next day and create his generational wealth again. So instead of feeling you're always striving for something that you'll never reach, this impossible task of holding something of this profitable trader on a pedestal, remove that notion that they have something that you don't have, that this person has some sort of mental block, or this person has achieved something that you want and you'll never be able to get to that level, or you look up to them. Don't ever think that. You have everything that you need, and everything that you need in order to be conquering those problems, right? So become that which attracts, become the profitable trader mentally. You have to already think mentally you're there. Okay. So the way that we can actually look at this is how do we actually think and act and become that that profitable trader, right? And there's these issues that kind of plague us. So instead of always kind of looking to the future and needing something, we're going to learn as well how to be present versus thinking the future, thinking the past. The only thing that I can prove today is the fact that I'm breathing right now. I can't prove the past happened. I can't prove the future happened. It could be that I just woke up today, and when I woke up, I was given all these thoughts and all of these feelings and memories. How am I supposed to prove that's not true, right? You can't prove that's not true. You can't prove yesterday happened. So the only thing that we'll really know is right now, the thing that's guaranteed. Um, so we have to think of the present. We have to think about what can we do today that guarantees our success, right? How can we constantly move forward and always think about in the present, do what I need to do to be successful. Now, if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, this is where you need to be coming up with a one-page business plan. I linked a video in the psychology chapter for that of kind of how to create one. But I really think if you sit down in your room with a piece of paper and a pen, and you have a bunch of different things. Obviously, you have health, you have family, you have trading, you have business goals. You write down 3 goals in each of those categories. And underneath each of those goals, you write down habits. You can change your life. But specifically for trading, I'm not going to tell you what to do for health goals or family goals or anything like that. Specifically for trading, right? You have 3 goals you write down, and you have a process or habits that'll get you to those goals. The only way I can get to those goals is if I have a very direct process, right? If I want to make a business that produces 6 figures a month or 6 figures a year, I can't constantly be thinking the fact that I need to make a business of 6 figures. You create the business plan. You create, what do I need to do? Okay, in order to create a 6-figure business, I break it down to the key indicators. Okay, the key indicator for me is maybe going to be I need to cold call 50 people every day. If I cold call 50 people, I'll have a 2% conversion rate. And then boom, at the end of 6 months, if I do that every single day, I'll be guaranteed 6 figures a year, right? So same thing in here. You got to figure out what is the process. What is the thing that produces this outcome that you want, and write that down. Okay, I need to do this. I need to have this risk. I need to have this sort of model. I need to only trade on these days. That's the stuff everyone talks about. So I'm not going to tell you how to do that. I expect you to go back and after you watch this video, or even while you're watching this, to create that list. And to be completely honest, if this is just another psychology video you're going to watch, and then you go and watch another one, you're forever going to be in this loop of always finding something that you'll never find. You're looking for some information or some secret sauce that's never going to be there when all the information and that kind of realization is internal. It's always internal. So you create that one page business plan. You create, obviously, in all the different sectors of your life that you want to improve. You write 3 goals, 3 habits. Specifically for trading, we're going to have that game plan we need to follow. Okay. And obviously there's going to be psychological flaws along the way. And I encourage you to journal before, during, and after to create these, to create these sort of injecting logic that you'll use. But basically, to be present and to really, it's being present versus striving. Obviously, you have goals, but if you constantly think about the goals, you'll never be present, right? So it's waking up, doing what I need to do today, making the most out of it, being happy when I go to sleep, and repeating the same thing over and over and over again. It may not be tomorrow that I'm that you make a ton of money or what you reach these goals. But if you really sat down and you're like, okay, 3 months, 6 months, and you're tired of feeling a certain way and you actually just go out and do it, things will happen, right? Your perception is your reality, and your reality is your perception. So we have now a problem, right? We have this illusion-based thinking, okay? And this is what really the entirety of all of our problems stem from, is this illusion-based thinking. We have a lie that's propagated into our mind either by ourselves, from past experiences, or from other people that creates some sort of a lie, and that creates fear, okay? Fear rules everything. If you want anything in life, it's always on the other side of fear. All right. Now, illusion-based thinking produces two ways that we don't reach our goals, either through procrastination or through self-sabotage. Okay, and these are the two biggest things that I've seen, at least in myself and in other people, that you have one of those two things, right? Now, obviously, from this illusion-based thinking in trading, you'll have the injecting logic statements that you'll repeat to yourself. But procrastination, we'll look at the reason we procrastinate. Why do we do these things? To me, is important, because if you figure out why, if you figure out your why, you can figure out the how and the what. So figure out the why. Why do we procrastinate, right? If we have goals, if we have somewhere we want to be, if we have someone we look up to, okay, I want to make 50 million by the time I die, right? Or I want to make 100 million, or whatever you want to do in life. If you have those goals, why do we procrastinate to get there? A lot of the times, it's because we are confronted with the fact that we have pain in order to change, right? In order to change who you are, the man is both the marble and the sculptor. You cannot change without facing pain, right? So you're both the sculptor and the marble itself. So when we have this pain that's changing, we're basically recreating ourselves. You're becoming now this profitable trader or this new person, and that's pain to change. And it's also this protection of self. If everything that you've known before and your ego was tied to the fact that you are all these things that you do on a daily basis, right? Even the things that you do negatively, that is yourself. That's your ego. So in order to really protect what we know and what we know to be true in ourself and our ego, we avoid this pain of change. Because then what happens is, okay, what happens if we become that person? Who will I be? Will I change my personality, or will things be different? Will I, sometimes it's suffering. Will I lose friendships? Will I lose opportunities? Will I be someone else? And that pain to change and this protection of self is a lot of times why we procrastinate as a person, right? This pain of taking the step. Yeah, exactly. It goes hand in hand with ego. So this is directly with ego. And then a lot of times we have self-sabotage as well. Why do we do the things that we don't want to be doing, even when we know what's right? Okay, this is basically, like I said, doing things that are wrong, knowing what is right. And we also have, this is stemming from basically who you think you are and who you are misaligned. So who you say to yourself of who you are, who you think you are in your brain, but what actually is going on in the reality and what your ego is picking up on and your subconscious is picking up on are misaligned. You may say yourself as a profitable trader. You may say, I am a good trader. I am this, I am this, I am this. But then the world around you and your actions don't support that. The way you program your ego and the way you program your subconscious is by saying, thinking, and doing. If I say, think, and do something, is that not true? Am I not that? Right? If I say I can dunk, I think I can dunk, and I go and dunk, would I not 100% believe the fact that I can dunk? Who's going to tell me I can't? Right? You 100% believe it. And that's what you need to think. So if I think I can dunk and I say I can dunk, but then knowing damn well I can't jump up and touch the rim, every single time you want to go and do that, or you want to go and prove it to yourself or prove it to someone else, you're subconsciously going to self-sabotage so you don't face the pain of embarrassment, or you don't face the pain of whatever. Does that make sense? Right? So even in trading, right, that kind of self-sabotage will show up where sometimes you know what to do, but subconsciously this kind of thing will happen. And it's either this procrastination where it's a protection of the self and the ego, or it's a self-sabotage where basically we're avoiding, same thing, we're avoiding this pain of whatever, of the future. So we're keeping ourselves, we're just knowing, the brain likes pattern. The brain likes the familiarity. The brain does not like to go into the unknown and step into the fog and just wander around, right? It doesn't even like the dark, right? As a kid, you don't like the dark because it's not the dark you're scared of. It's what could possibly be in the dark. This is what you're doing in life. You're constantly having to walk into the dark, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a business person, especially as someone who's striving to be more than they are. You're constantly having to go through the dark, and it's not, it's you're dictated by fear. That's why I was saying every single illusion-based thinking is always dictated by fear. So it's not the fact that you're scared of becoming a profitable version of yourself. It's not the fact that you're scared of making a ton of money. It's either you think that you don't deserve it, which is an absolute lie from hell, right? You think if you believe in God, you really think God wants you to suffer 24/7? What? He made all this stuff for you. Like, why would he want you to suffer 24/7? Even suffering needs to exist in order for you to learn, obviously. But you're not supposed to suffer 24/7, 365 days of the year. Just not. If you want to go and be something, you go and be it. You go and do it, right? So you have to figure out what your fears are. What's the actual thing that's holding you back? And that's why obviously journaling is going to be super, super important in identifying those fears. And experience is going to teach you that a lot of times you're not going to be able to figure those out just from a day of thinking. It's going to take days or weeks or sometimes. So you have to have a process. I'm more concerned with the fact that if you have a process of finding these fears and obviously a protection system, that's why sometimes something new will come up, right? Say something happens in your life or something happens in trading, and then you feel your emotions rising. You'll always have the same signal. You have the same emotional or physical response that's signaling to you, yo, I feel threatened. I'm about to do something stupid. Let's rethink this. And you have a line you cannot cross. So when you step over that line into the limbic system, you can't step out until either the threat has been eliminated or you've been eliminated. So blowing an account, you've been eliminated. You no longer can participate in this fight. Or you eliminate the threat, which possibly could be, I take a win so big that look how big I am over this threat. It's no longer an issue to me. My brain can calm down. So I can't step over that line and go into that fight or flight mode. So I need protection systems in place. I need barriers in place that shows me, okay, I'm leading up to that. And that's why you have to journal to figure out what is those leading causes. What's sometimes the pre-causes, right? You go back into, that's why you have to journal beforehand, because even just realizing, oh, I'm emotionally unstable, or I have baggage from yesterday, or I have expectations for today of why I should be taking a win. Those things will point to the fact that you'll have these underlying problems. And obviously we can go into the whole element of trading, but I think that it's not fixing the root cause, right? I could say, okay, you have to be convicted in a trade for you to be it to be a good loss, but that's great. But how do you be convicted in a trade? How do you even prevent yourself from taking an unconvicted trade? So that's what we're trying to solve with this. I could say all the stuff that everyone else is saying, but I think this is more important. So obviously you need this kind of to figure out and kind of go back into this. But how do we actually approach this? How do we fix it? And what's the easiest way that we can go in today or tomorrow when you have time and really just plan this out and figure out what you want to do? Okay. So like I said, you want to be at peace. You don't want to need. You want to think like you're already profitable. Okay. So like in the present, obviously you got to be present. But if you're already a profitable trader, and obviously I'll get into how you think is a profitable trader, but if you already think, just briefly, if you are already, say you're making $100,000 a day, are you honestly going to be thinking about losing a singular trade? Are you honestly going to be thinking about all these different things? I'm not saying to eliminate your reality around you, but think like you're already there. Think like you're already that person. Now, how do we follow suit with this? Is like I said, you create that one-page business plan, but also it is by what I like to call subconscious programming. Okay. You are basically going to consciously program your subconscious until the point where you are, right? You need to be someone, so you're going to program yourself to think like that until you are. And obviously you need to deserve, you think that you deserve it. You have to realize that you deserve it. You have to realize that, you know, you have limiting beliefs. So whatever your goals are, you smash through those, even if you think that they're hard to get, right? You'll do more, immensely more than you think is possible. So we have to do this by subconscious programming. So the three ways that I talked about it is you need thoughts, you need words, and you need actions. Therefore, you are, right? I am is the most powerful statement you can ever speak out loud. So I think, therefore I am. But it's I think, I have words, I have actions, therefore I am. All right. So the way we subconscious program is by multiple things. All right. And by the way, I'm going to come back to this. So someone remind me, we'll put a star over here. I'll come back to this later. But subconscious programming, what we're going to do is we are going to have thoughts, have words, have actions. So create that one-page business plan. So rid of, or even for trading, right? So basically, what are our goals? What is the process? What are the habits that we need to be doing day in and day out that will produce that result? And then it's black and white. You know exactly what you need to do in order to get to those goals, right? You have this model, you have this risk, you have this approach mentally, you have these rules you need to follow, write them down, okay? Now there's things outside of trading that obviously will reinforce this kind of mentality. So I believe that, if you really look at, the difference between dreams and reality, right? A lot of times your brain actually cannot differentiate between a dream and reality. It honestly just thinks that it's the same thing. Okay. And that's why sometimes you wake up and that experience feels so real. You have sometimes emotional stimuli from it, or you can sometimes even remember your dreams like they were a memory from a year ago or a week ago. I can't even remember my dreams nowadays sometimes, but you get what I'm saying, right? So what we're going to do is, whether you think it's real or not, you're going to visualize. You create this reality of what you think that you're going to see in 6 months or a year time, what you're going to see, what you're going to think, what you're going to smell around you, what you're going to be able to touch, all that sort of stuff. You sit down in your room for 5 minutes a day with no distraction, no stimulation, nothing, and you just visualize. Okay. This will help train your brain into thinking that it's already there. It's already here. And it's going to create this reality around you. Okay. Perception is reality and your reality is perception, right? A lot of times data is data. You take a loss. Someone who's an unprofitable trader or someone who's new will say, oh, you suck at trading because you took a loss. Someone who's following their rules, following their model is going to think, no, I just did everything I was supposed to be doing. This is part of it. Data is data. The data is they took a loss. The way you look at it is your reality. So perception is reality. So the way you reinforce that is you visualize for 5 minutes a day. Okay, it takes 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes. I promise you do. So you're going to visualize. You're going to journal, obviously. And there's two ways we're going to journal. Obviously, the trading part of it is going to be more important. But you're also going to journal subconsciously. So you're going to reprogram your subconscious. The way you do that is you create 3 to 7 I am statements. And you write them down. I am a profitable trader. I am someone who follows my rules. I am someone who attracts wisdom. I am someone who blank. Whatever it may be for you, you create this and you write this down when you wake up, when you go to sleep. You do this over and over and over again, okay? And all you're doing is you're just programming your brain to think like this. And you probably know people in your life, or maybe it's you, who constantly think that they're unlucky or constantly complain about problems or constantly talk about I can't do this or I'm not good enough or some sort of BS reason as to why they think that they're inadequate or they're not enough. And it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. They think like that and then they're too lazy to do anything and they don't want to step into the pain and then they're constantly in this. It's just like it's like hell on earth. It's like they just don't think that they're adequate to do anything, okay? So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to constantly tell ourselves, Like I said, it's thoughts, words, and actions. So we're programming our thoughts to be like this and our words. Okay. You're going to obviously believe that you already are blank. And like I said before, perception is reality. Reality is perception. So you think, therefore you are. So as much as you can change your perception, you can change your reality around you. All right. And also, it's something that positive traders, profitable traders, or really successful people in general are very, very good at being aware and then killing negative thoughts. If I have a thought pop into my brain or someone else's thought pop into the brain that's negative, you need to first be aware that it's a negative thought and then kill it. Do not let the lie, right? The illusion that something that's fear-based propagate into your mind and spread like a virus. As soon as it shows up there, you got to be able to first be aware. That's the first part, is being aware, and then killing that negative thought. Do not let it spread. Do not let it take control of your brain and then interrupt all of this. But think about it. If you can then program your subconscious, it's like a factory. All it is just a factory. It's a factory of thoughts. If you program that into thinking like this, you'll no longer have these negative thoughts or this want to self-sabotage because it's no longer aligned with who you are. I am no longer someone who breaks my rules. I am no longer someone who gets FOMO because I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know that I'm going to get an entry later, right? It's knowing and believing. There's no doubt in your mind. All right, so we're going to have these, be very aware and kill these negative thoughts. And you're the filter, right? You have to consciously filter sometimes these thoughts, and it's sometimes exhausting, but you can do it, right? So this is kind of how we are going to approach it. And obviously there's going to be other things as well. So actually doing, you need to be you cannot have these thoughts and have words and not back it up with action. Action is the most important part. Okay. Actions speak louder than words. You know that. So if I have all these things and I have all these words and I'm processing it, obviously it'll make it easier to do these actions, which is what I'm trying to do through this. But actions are the only way to validate the fact that it's true. Okay. So first of all, you have to make these goals and these tasks, make the tasks realistic, make the goals somewhat realistic, but somewhat out of reach, and then give yourself leniency. Okay. If I am pouring juice into my cup and I spill a little bit of it, am I going to take the cup and dump it entirely out onto the counter? So when you have these goals and when you have these habits and tasks that you're supposed to do, and you miss one or you slip up, you're not going to instantly think, oh, I got to restart. My whole day is ruined. My disappointment is immeasurable. And you got to go in and just think that, oh, I'm back to where I started. That's not true. If you're actively making the effort to do something and you mess up one time, don't mess up twice. That's what you need to think. If I mess up once, obviously don't let yourself mess up. But when it happens, inevitably, do not spill the entire glass. You just dropped a little bit. Wipe it up, keep moving. All right, so make the tasks realistic. Don't write something down that you know you're not going to do, and then that's just going to ruin your self-confidence. So make them reasonable. If you know you're not going to run 5 miles a day, 6 days a week, don't write that down. Say, I will run 2 miles twice a week. Something that's easy, something that's achievable. So then when you actually do it in the beginning, you can build on that, right? You don't need to have these habits of the end. Have habits of the beginning and then work your way up to whatever it may be that you want to do. All right. Obviously, you got to be a coach versus a critic. So whenever you mess up, pick yourself back up. Whenever you do something proper, you have to reward yourself, okay? Overtrading and over-leveraging and breaking your rules, doing something stupid, whatever it is, and even in real life, the things you're not supposed to be doing, a lot of times has a very direct dopamine reward, or even a serotonin reward. Serotonin, I think that's how you spell it. Some sort of reward in your brain that makes you want to do it again, okay? That's how our brain works. So instead of always striving and having this void of something, you actually can operate on a very, I have enough. And the way and this comes back to this. So the way you be present, okay, is you remove fear, you remove greed by being present. And the way you do that is having gratitude for what you already have. Okay, so this will be another thing that you should be doing. I'll write it down here. You also obviously journaling trading, journaling these I am statements, and then journaling. Gratitude. So 3 to 5 things that you're happy that you have. It could be very simple. It could be something that you're proud of that you have. Obviously not too much prideful, but something that God has blessed you with that either that someone else doesn't have, or you think you're very lucky to have that, right? And this is what gratitude directly produces serotonin in your brain. Directly. It literally produces serotonin in your brain if you're operating from a humble and a gratitude mindset. Okay. If you constantly think you need something, you're going to have dopamine to go get that. And that lack of dopamine, when you win, is going to fill you up. And winning is going to be great because you feel like you're achieved something and you're fulfilled. And then when losing happens, you feel like you're missing something. So you need to get it back. And it's not the fact that you lost money. It's the fact that you feel empty. You feel like there's something missing and you need to get that back. Or it's a threat to you. For me, it feels like something's missing, right? That's kind of my flaw, or it's an attack against my intelligence or something like that. So if you operate with this gratitude mindset, you're naturally producing serotonin in a very biological way as well that you can produce serotonin is if you're not getting enough vitamin D, every single cell in your body needs vitamin D. Your brain also needs vitamin D to produce serotonin. So I'm not a licensed health provider or anything like that, but I take personally 5,000 IUs of vitamin D per day, or I try to at least. And that to me helps me just be in an overall mood. Okay. If you're staying inside 24/7, if you're living a very cloudy environment like I do, vitamin D is going to be great. It just helps with serotonin production. So obviously don't take my advice. I'm not licensed or anything, but that's just what I use personally. So we're going to be a coach versus a critic. We're going to reward what we do good, what we do bad. Obviously, yeah, same thing. Exercise, that's in that 1-page business plan. You want to have some sort of health goals, of course, as well. You're trying to become that which attracts, which I mentioned before. But we are going to be, after you're doing all this, right? You want to be reviewing, repeating, and reminding. Okay. Like I said over here, right? You're going to be journaling these I am statements when you wake up and you go to sleep. You're going to have your model. You're going to have your risk management. You're going to have your habits that you need to do on a trading perspective day by day. You need to review them, repeat them, and re-remind. As soon as you look at it, re-remind. You program them into your brain. This is what it is. Repeat until it becomes habit. Your brain will think automatically. It'll create the neurons where it goes from point A to point B. What are my rules? Boom, you know it. Just literally pick up the piece of paper and just look at it for 5 minutes. Flip it back inside. You need to know it from top to bottom. Your rules, your game plan to hit those goals. So you review it, you tweak it if you need to, you repeat it with actions, words, and thoughts, and then you re-remind. You keep re-reminding yourself of what you need to be doing. You can't look at it once and then think that it's just programmed in your brain. It's not how your brain works. Keep doing it. Look at it over and over and over again until it becomes habit. Right? There may be 2 weeks where you have to have a habit, maybe 3 weeks, and maybe 90 days. But as you constantly just drill it into your head over and over and over again of what you want, and also drill it into your head, then nothing changes if nothing changes. A lot of the times, a lot of profitable traders got to a certain point where they realized, I'm forever going to be in this state of living until I realize that there's only one way out of the maze. There's literally the Einstein dubbed insanity as someone who does the same thing over and over again and expects a different result. And 90% of all of unprofitable traders are doing the same exact thing. They're doing the same thing and expecting, why isn't something changing? Why isn't something changing? And it's either their ego that thinks that, oh, my way is the right way, and they don't accept the fact that they have to change, or it's one of these two, right? So nothing changes. And as soon as when you realize that, okay, if I really want this life that I want, I create this plan, I do all these things. And like I said, you're going to fall a lot of times into these traps here of either self-sabotage, where you know what you're supposed to be doing and it's misaligned, or it's going to be procrastination because you know that this is going to be a very painful thing to recreate yourself and kill your old self and kill your ego of really what you know to be true and remake it. But I promise you it's worth it, right? And you're not going to, nothing's going to happen, right? You're still going to be yourself. Right? So the pain will always be here unless you wake up one day and realize, okay, this is not the way I want to live, or this is not what I'm capable of. Okay. You don't know what your peak is. You don't know what your potential is. And a lot of times, I don't know who said it. It was Patrick Bet-David, but basically he's saying that, you know, there's these 3 levels, and I like this analogy a lot. There's the overachievers, there's the achievers, and there's underachievers. Okay, and you have these sections in here as well. Okay, the achiever is doing, you know, 70% or 60% of what they're capable of, and they'll always be better than that next person. They'll always look down and be like, ha, I'm still doing better than them. I don't need to do any more, or I'm lazy, right? Because you're always going to they'll never reach that point. With all the gifts, with all the abilities, they were born less intelligence than you, they were born with less resources. They'll, even if they become the best version of themselves, they'll never be good as you. But if you constantly look like that and not this way, of maybe where I am right now, if I really gave it my all, I would be up to here, where I would constantly be striving, right? And it's this step ladder analogy where every single time you go up, actually, let me redraw this. Every single time you go up, it goes like this. We're not going to look at that. And obviously it goes infinitely up, infinitely down, okay? This is the top 80%. This is the bottom 20%. And this directly goes to the analogy of here. Now, obviously, I'm not taking any credit from this. This is directly from Patrick Bet-David. But this is what you're, you know, life is constantly like this. So if you think you're right here and it's good enough, or what you're doing is fine, but you're an achiever, you're not doing everything that you could be doing and reaching your max potential. The reason you don't like going up a step is because the next step that you go up, you're going to be in the bottom 20% and it's uncomfortable. But then you climb again, you build, and then you're at the top 80% of that section, where you're going to get complacent and comfortable there and think that, oh, because I'm looking down, I'm doing better than everyone else. But then you look up and you got to go to the next one. And obviously, if you have other people, you go boom, 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 boom. You have someone who goes up here, they pull you up. Someone who's up here, you can pull each other up. But that's the way you got to approach it. So even if you think that you're doing everything you should be doing, or, you know, you're good enough or something like that, obviously you don't want greed. You don't want to think that you're never enough, but just be present in what you have, know what you have, be happy with that and content with that, know where you came from, and obviously know that there's something better. Know that there's a potential that you don't know what you're going to reach. And are you going to live your entire life just being enough? Are you going to live your entire life being an achiever, or are you going to try and be an overachiever? You'll never reach an overachieving, but I'm saying, what could you actually do if you gave this 100%? If you gave your life 100% effort from day in and day out, from health to trading, to the things around you, to building something, to being creative, what could you actually do? And a lot of the times, everyone in the server is already an achiever. You're already doing well. You already have resources available to even be on a computer watching me yap about psychology, about trading, and you click a bunch of buttons, and you make thousands of dollars clicking buttons. So you constantly have to strive, but you constantly have to be content. And it's a very fine line that you have to walk. This is the way you do it, okay? So you're reviewing, you're repeating, you're re-reminding, you're ingraining this into your head. You're becoming that which attracts. You're realizing that nothing changes, and your pain will always be here. And this procrastination as well, right? The reason we don't like to change is we have 2 things, right? Either, not even 2 things. It's just one thing. It's just comfort. It's this idea of comfort. It's like we're so comfortable where we are. And you may not realize, you may be uncomfortable, but you don't want it enough. You're comfortable where you are. Comfort is the drug of 2025. Everything around you, look at it, is catered to your comfort. We're just becoming the Wall-E movie. If anyone's seen Wall-E, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're just becoming that. Whether you like it or not, that's literally what reality is going to become, right? You have social media catering towards just giving you dopamine whenever you want it. You have everything catered towards your comfort. There's no threat anymore. There's no threat of survival. There's no threat of being great. Like you want to, they just keep everyone complacent so that no one has any effort to become emperor, right? They keep everyone just kind of stay down there. Don't dream too big. Just what you're doing is good enough, and you're doing better than your peers. But I want to do better than them. I like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to take down the Bank of International Settlements. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Don't kill me. I'm sorry. But you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta have in game exactly in Minecraft. I'm trying to do that. You gotta have that mentality. You need to be the best. And I hate everyone who says be the best version of yourself, but it's true, right? Remove those fears. Figure out the fears first. Remove the fears. Create the program. Think, act, and do. Create those words. Stop saying things that aren't true, or saying things that you want some pity party, right? Like no one cares, to be completely honest. No one cares. So pick yourself up. Always be a coach versus a critic. Pick yourself up when you get knocked down, and reward yourself for doing things that are good, right? And never have these huge fluctuations either. Never be super down when things go bad. Never be super high when things are going good. Stay level-headed. Don't ever think that you solved the problem. Don't ever think that you solved yourself. It's always going to be that your flesh is always going to be there. It's always going to want to just pull you back down. But you constantly have to be 2 steps ahead in controlling your subconscious, controlling your conscious, doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then you get so far ahead that it will never catch up to you. It'll never catch up to you. It'll always try to pull you down in the beginning when you're here. But then when you keep moving forward and you keep doing the things you say you're supposed to be doing, what is it? It's not gonna exist. You're gonna kill it. You need to kill it. All right. So you need to remove this idea of comfort. You need to be uncomfortable. You have to give up some things. If it's social media, if it's alcohol, if it's some sort of comfort that you have, be uncomfortable. Be bored. Sit in your room for 15 minutes with no stimulation. Turn off your phone, turn off your TV, turn off everything. Just sit there. Some people can't even do that for 5 minutes. You'll see subconsciously, you'll start trying to reach for something. As soon as you have a lack of stimulation, you go to reach for something. Just be bored. Just think. Just sit there and think. Let your brain run its course and get rid of those thoughts and actually think about, okay, why am I doing the things that I shouldn't be doing? Obviously, it's because, you can tell yourself, I should be doing this, but why do you self-sabotage? Why do you have this procrastination? It's always linked to fear. It's always linked to fear. It's linked to some sort of fear. Either you think that you're not good enough, or you don't want the change, or you're going to kill your ego of what you're walking into the unknown. You're walking into the dark. It's not the dark that scares you. It's the fact that you don't know what's in it. So don't be comfortable and welcome the pain of change. Okay, welcome the pain of change. You're going to be someone else, right? And think about this. You could wake up tomorrow a different person. You could in 2 hours from now, you could just decide in your head, I'm going to be someone else. So what you're doing is all of this is basically you're changing your identity, which is difficult, but you're changing the way that you look at yourself. Okay, it's a lot of self-love, but it's also just you're changing your identity. And that's why it's uncomfortable, because your ego is tied to your identity. So you're changing the way that you are. Instead of the way you think, you're changing the factory that produces those thoughts. And through that, through visualizing, through journaling, through all this sort of stuff, and taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, having these thoughts, words, and actions, that all those things will produce the result that you want. It'll produce it. And the only way you don't do it is by just delaying. We delay. You think you're promised tomorrow. You're not. So at least make the effort today, or make the effort whenever, to stop sitting in the pain that you hate so much. But sometimes the pain that you're sitting in right now sometimes is just enough bearable. It's just bearable enough where you are right now is not as painful as that jump to go from there to there. It's just annoying enough where you're like, I don't like this, but moving one step up, I can't do that. Or it's you're lazy. It's either you think that you can't, you're lazy, or it's going to be too painful. But what's going to be painful about it? It's all just this. What does it come back to? Illusion-based thinking that produces the fear. It's some lie you're telling yourself that something's going to happen or something is going to be in the world that's not true, that produces the fear that keeps you complacent. So your complacency, the comfort sometimes is the thing that, and I'm guilty of this as well. I'm speaking for all of this stuff from experience and things that I've had to go through and things that I've figured out, at least from myself and from watching other people and absorbing knowledge from other people. This is kind of the program that I've come up with that I think if you do this for 30 days, you'll be someone completely different. Like absolutely different. Just do all these things, right? Create the business plan. What do you need to do? You have your habits, you have your goals, you have your process. Figure out the process. You remind, you review it, you journal, you visualize, you program your subconscious with I am statements. You have gratitude. You believe that you already are. You have these filters of your negative thoughts that show up. And you just become a monster. Like you just literally accept the fact that this is what you're going to be and there's no more delaying it. This is who you are. There's no more delaying it. This is the person that you're supposed to be stepping into. This is the person that God made you to be. And now you're finally realizing the potential that you have it's unmatched. Like you have the direct power to create whatever you want in your reality. Rockefeller was a poor kid, absolutely nothing. And he just said in the beginning, if you read or watch his autobiography, as a young kid, he thought, I'm going to be the richest man in the world. I'm going to be the richest man in the world. And he constantly told himself that. He thought that. He spoke it to other people. And then his actions just followed suit. Eventually, he was. All these great business people, all these people, they're not normal. They think differently. Okay? They think, and it's delusion up until it happens, right? It's delusion until it happens. You say, I'm going to do this. And you work at it, you work at it, you work at it. And then it's possible. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was possible. Oh, good job for you. Man couldn't fly before the 1900s. You're going to be a bird? Yeah, you're going to fly up there. You're going to go from here to Los Angeles in 3 hours? Yeah, right. Then as soon as it happens, it's no longer delusion. That's how you got to think like this. This is some delusion. This is some, you're holding yourself back until it becomes this. And then I promise you, when you taste that like feeling of like, it's truly just being alive. That's what it is for me, at least. It's like you wake up every day and you're like, every single problem that I've had in the past, I've conquered. So anything that's in front of me, I'm going to destroy as well. There's nothing that can stand in my way. I have a goal. I have a vision in mind. I'm not going to stop until I get there. When you get there, you're still, you basically still want more maybe, but that's the thing. It's falling in love with the process. It's falling in love with becoming something and creating in life around you and enjoying this. You're not looking for the goal. That's where we mess up. We always think that the goal is the thing it's the process. It's the fact that you're showing up and you're just creating a better life for yourself instead of doing a bunch of stupid degenerate stuff that just degrades you. Why not just improve your life? Even if it doesn't give you the result that you want, say it's not going to happen, but I'm saying here's the delusion and fear coming in. What if you do all these things and it doesn't give you the result? What if you don't do it at all? Like, what if nothing changes? What's going to happen? Still the same spot. If you do this, at least if you do this, you'll know that this isn't the way and you can do something else or you can tweak it. And you're constantly progressing to make an effort. But that fear of like, oh, what if it doesn't do it? And then I don't do it and then nothing happens. Like, what? Like, at least you have a better life. At least you know you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. All of this will improve your mental, right? I don't want to be thinking negatively. I want to be thinking that I'm unstoppable. I want to be thinking that anything I put my mind to, I can get done, right? I want to think, okay, in 2 years' time, if I get a business opportunity to grow a whatever, I'll have the resources, I'll have the knowledge, I'll have the ability to go and learn, to go and get that done. That's the way I want to think, right? The ability to do anything that you put your mind to. And this is the way you do it. You think, you have words, you have actions that all produce the result you want. And then you review, you repeat, you re-remind, and you tweak. You just smash it into your brain until you become that, right? You're changing your identity. It all comes back to the fact that you're now changing your identity, which is painful. It's very, very uncomfortable to do this. But to be completely honest, all that, oh yeah, you got to be disciplined in trading and all that, oh, you got to journal. That's all the stuff that'll produce this sort of stuff, right? But if you can do this stuff and journal and do all these things, losing is going to be, it's just going to be part of your day, right? It's just going to be, okay, I lost, but just because I spilled a little bit of it, am I going to spill the whole entire cup out? So even if you lose, did you follow the process? Did you take a good trade? Were you content with that trade? Okay, yes. All right, continue to do what you need to be doing. All right, I need to journal after this. I need to go and hit the gym. I need to go and do this because by the end of the day, you know you did what you're supposed to be doing and you're one step closer to where you want to be instead of delaying it, instead of just thinking that something's going to change in due time and forcing your way. I mentioned it in the psychology chat before that the only reason that the pain that you feel is not enough to to initialize some change is because your ego is hiding it. Your ego thinks that my way is the best way, and somehow, if I keep doing this over and over and over again, something's going to change. Nothing's going to change, but it's your ego that protects you because it doesn't like being wrong, and it doesn't like getting out of habit. It's a very neuron to neuron. You got to create new neuronic connections, if that's a word, but you got to reshape your identity. So think, I am a profitable trader, and back it up with words, actions, and thoughts, and then boom, you got it, right? What more do you want, right? If I think I can dunk, if I say I can dunk and I go and dunk, or if I go hit a crossbar, right? You have so much confidence. You don't have overconfidence. You just know who you are. You don't have this feeling that you got to flex that you can do this because that's that void. That's that void of you want something. Just be happy where you are. Be happy in the process because that process will give you so much. The process itself will give you so much dopamine because you're like actively trying to change something in your life, and you'll see that the reality around you morphs into your perception. Like your willpower and your mindset alone will literally morph your reality around you, right? Like anything in this world, the people who have things in this world, the only way they were able to get it is because they thought about it and they did the action to get it. And then they morphed their whole reality. I used Rockefeller as an example, but he was a poor kid, had absolutely nothing, thought about something, put his mind to it, and boom, becomes like the most coveted, evil sort of person that people think of. But he was a multi-billionaire. So anything in this world is just there for the taking, and you got to go and get it, and you have to become that which attracts. So if you are the profitable trader, if you are the successful person, all those things will just flow to you. Stop chasing it. Just become that and let them come to you. Let them flow to you, right? That's what you want to be at. All right. So I'll keep it this length. It's about an hour or so long. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. And I know people who go back and watch this are not going to be locked in until this point in time. So hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it was insightful. And I really, really encourage you, after as soon as this is done, you go in and you figure out, what are my goals? What are my habits I need to get to those goals? What is the process I need to take? Attach your ego, attach yourself to that process, and then do all these things. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, these things will help. Okay. Visualize for 5 minutes. What do you want to see around you? What do you want to feel? What do you want to smell? What do you want to do? Visualize it. Just close your eyes and visualize. Okay. Journal about your trading before, during, and after. Um, create those injecting logic statements so you can remind yourself when you take a loss. Okay, nothing's wrong. This is the normal day. part of work. So it's just the cost of doing business. Nothing wrong, right? I took 2 losses on stream, both with the same exact trade, mitigation plus fair value gap in macro time or in silver bullet time, looking for higher prices. I was right on the bias, got 2 losses back to back within like 2 minutes. Like not 2 minutes of the loss, but 1 minute I was in a trade, 1 minute I was out. Second trade, cut risk in half, was in a trade, was out within a minute. I'm still here. I still got food on my table. I got water to drink. Ain't nothing wrong, right? So journal and trading, create those illusions or create the injecting logic statements that will help. Do these I am statements. I am profitable trader. I am someone who attracts. I am successful. I get up and do it. I do it now. I don't delay. I am someone who I am attract wisdom and wealth. All those things, right? They may seem whoop-de-woo to you, but I promise you, if you write these things down and say it out loud, your brain will, not tomorrow, not today, but in 2 weeks of telling yourself the same thing over and over again, it's going to become reality, right? How else does your brain know it's true or not? It sees it over and over and over again, okay? And then you don't worry about it, right? You know that something is true because you've seen it over and over and over again. It's been proven to you. So eventually you're going to see that you have these statements. It may not happen tomorrow, but I promise you in like 30 days, you're going to see the same exact things that you were talking about become reality. And then you're like, it's not coincidence. It's real. Like, it's just like you get on that wavelength, if you whether believe that or not. Obviously, journaling gratitude will help with your serotonin production and not being in this needing phase, just being at peace of where you are and enjoying the process. Same thing with vitamin D supplements and any sort of supplements that'll help you keep you being healthy, being aware and killing those negative thoughts. And obviously all the stuff we talked about in here should hopefully help. So defeat procrastination, defeat the self-sabotage by accepting that it's going to be painful to change. And you're no longer going to accept this pain that you're in, because the pain of change is always going to be less than the pain of regret and sitting in the same exact spot you were in yesterday. Imagine waking up 3 years from now and you're in the same exact spot you were in today. You wasted 3 years. That should scare you. You're like, what are you doing on this earth, right? Like, you're just wasting your time. There's people out there trying to go get it. Be someone who goes and gets it. Don't be in the same spot as you were yesterday. Don't be in the same spot as you were today. Always, tomorrow, I'm going to be better. Tomorrow, even if it's 1%, 1% difference is better than nothing. All right? So like I said, I'll wrap it up here. If you got any questions, I wasn't really reading the chat today. I just wanted to get off these bullet points that I had written down. We'll probably do a third part to this later on if you guys enjoy these. I think they're helpful, and I think it's extremely, extremely important to talk about this. Obviously, just besides the whole technical stuff, that's all great. But if you have a 99% win rate, and there's a 1% loss, and you take that 1% loss, the whole account's gone. Like, so you got to be able to figure out your psychology, and enough of the whole be disciplined, follow your rules, and all that stuff. I want direct way I can change the way I am. And this is the way that I found works for me, at least. So try it, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, tweak it, let me know, right? If you're having issues, it's maybe something that I can help with, or someone that knows what you're dealing with can help you out. This guy slander. Yeah, obviously if you're struggling technically, we got the PDF as well. We got tier 2. All that stuff is there for your technical advancement, which does help with psychology in the beginning, but technicals is not everything. When you get to that point, it's maybe 20%. The rest is just managing yourself and managing your expectations. So praying for you. I hope that you realize this pain that you're sitting in right now is pain. It's enough. You've had enough. Just be someone else. That's your decision to just choose that. Become someone else. It's completely in your power. All right. So I'll talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow or later today for a market review stream. Technically. Otherwise, I will see you guys probably next week on Tuesday, the guys in tier 2 for a market stream. All right. So take care today. Journal. Do the things that are necessary to succeed. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.